All right, last video for today. I think this is my third video that I'm putting up today in terms of Bible prophecy. I want to bring you up to date on the situation with Bahrain, and let's see where we're at. So the first news that's significant is Abbas. He says we are ready to return to the negotiating table. Apparently, they're going to start. They're going to come to Trump, and they're going to talk about some stuff. The PA president says there is no potential for a political solution with Trump. They say. It says Palestinians are ready to return to the negotiating table with Israel, but with two preconditions: the recognition of Israeli occupation of East Jerusalem and the vision of a two-state solution. Of course, Trump's deal of the century is not a two-state solution, and that's our big issue. The Palestinian president said he would not ask for anything outside of what is already prescribed by the international community as legitimate. He's speaking of including the most recent United Nations Resolution 2334. He says, I will go to the White House and continue what I started with Trump. He explained that in his first meeting with Trump, the U.S. spoke about a vision of a two-state solution. It says, telling Abbas that I will not accept a one-state solution because one state will be an apartheid state. So you have the Palestinian Authority government coming and saying they're going to negotiate now, but apparently not unless there's a two-state solution. Meanwhile, the deal of the century is moving forward with the economic part of it. Bahrain workshop to open amid low expectations. And this is part of the economic peace plan stuff that, of course, you've probably seen many parts of. Basically, there's a lot of money, and a lot of it Trump hopes is going to come from the private sector. To provide jobs, to increase the living conditions, promote the living conditions of Palestinians. And the idea being that if you give people enough money and jobs, etc., then they won't want to go to war, and they'll be happy to live together in peace and security if they have stable living conditions. I think that's very short-sighted, and that doesn't take into account the religious war that is actually happening. But the economic workshop is going on. Officials from around the world, including Arab states, gather for rollout of economic chapter of Trump's peace plan. The next part of the chapter of the peace plan to come out in the fall period. After years of anticipation and preparation, the first part of the Donald Trump peace plan will come out, the economic part. Dozens of government officials and representatives from around the world will take part, including Arab countries such as Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Jordan, Morocco. These are all mostly countries, that kind of support Israel at this point in time. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, as examples. Excuse me, and Jordan. There will be no government representation from Israel or from the Palestinian Authority, which is interesting. So they're getting other nations surrounding Israel and the Palestinian Authority in on this. Israel probably already knows all of what this entails, so I guess there's no point for them to come, maybe. It says, this has led to some critics of the workshop, and there are many, to quip that it's like a wedding without the participation of the bride and the groom, i.e. Israel and the Palestinians. You're not inviting the key partners who are going to take place in this. You would think they would have some say in this, but no, they're sort of trying to round up funding first to get this part of the peace plan going. It says, the Palestinian Authority is boycotting the Peace to Prosperity workshop, saying it's an effort to bribe the Palestinians, and that's really a large part of what it is. To give them money, to give them a life, a livelihood, jobs, etc., so that they don't feel like they need to go to war against Israel anymore, and that's really part of it. And Bahrain decided not to invite any Israeli government officials when it became apparent that no PA officials would be on hand. So they didn't want it one-sided. They didn't want just Israel there and not the PA. So they ended up not inviting anybody, interestingly. Israeli officials said that the PA understood that they would be unable, despite their best efforts, to prevent Arab countries from participating. They pressed Bahrain not to invite Israeli government officials, so that the conference did not appear as a vehicle to normalize relations with Israel. So, of course, all the Arab nations, they don't want to come out and say they support Israel or that they're normalizing relations, because that would be bad to their own people who don't like Israel in a lot of cases there. The long-standing Palestinian position is that normalization of ties between Israel and the Arab world can only take place after the Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital is set up, and not before. So the dividing of Israel, watch for the dividing of Israel. That's a key time shift. When that happens, watch for destruction, immediate destruction. Trump administration released a plan Saturday. It proposes some $50 billion to be invested in 179 infrastructure, education, trade, and tourism projects. So again, promoting and providing jobs for the Palestinian people, and if they come out of poverty, which the PA government themselves are putting the Palestinian people in, then maybe they wouldn't want to go to war with Israel if they have peace and security. Expectations for the conference are low over the past few weeks, and increasing intensity after the White House released the plan Saturday night. Pundits and a number of officials who have been involved in the peace process in the past have sharply criticized it. So it doesn't look like it's going to go over too well. It continues. I'll put the links in the description. You can check it out. I think what's going to come out, it's going to be interesting if they get any momentum, if they get any agreement by nations to actually start doing something towards this. It makes sense that this is the easiest thing to start with. Money is often the easiest thing, because if they can throw money in a situation, then they don't have to put time or effort into the situation. And so that's, I think, why they're starting off with this. They're going to kind of gauge the feelings of the Arab nations, see what they think about it, and go from there. And of course, we have the fall period, which is the high watch time. In my last video, I said that the rabbi expects war to break out prior to the fall feasts, the big high holy days coming in the fall period. And so you have a lot of things really lining up, converging for that fall period, which is always a very, very high watch time prophetically. So we're going to see what comes out of this. So over the next couple of days, we're going to see if there's any movement, if there's any interest from the nations, and then how they start involving the PA and Israel. That's going to be the key piece. How are they going to initiate and involve those two key pieces, the bride and the groom, as it were, of this particular economic wedding, if you will. So a little update there, guys, on the Bahrain economic summit related to peace and security in the region. I'll leave there, and we'll see you guys in the next video.